Hi everyone, this is Dawn Marie with Creative DME Designs, and I'm the J&C Fall 22 collab. It is a collab that will be between DearJulieJulie and Cara Brandon. This collab, there will be about 20 of us who have gotten the kits ahead of time. And we will be hopscotching the videos and shooting them out all on the same day, which will be the 21st. That's coming up. If you would like to be involved with this, then I would like you to remember this hashtag, because you'll be able to link in with the hop and be added to our list. The good thing about that is that anybody who does participate will get a gift from Julie and Cara. Plus, we want to see how many people we can get involved, and I think that's really cool. So hi everyone. This is my first one that I'm going to do. I have a really old square doily. I'm actually going to go ahead and glue this right down now. Oh, no, actually what I'm going to do is I am going to put some old paper on this, because I'm using that and it goes with the background there, and I'm just going to lightly, I think this one doesn't show very much. Okay, let's use my antique linen. And so one of the things I do is, if I want it to look scruffy and I want it to pick up color and I don't feel like using my brushes or a dauber, I use the whole thing right down on it. I'm sure that I use more than the average person by doing this, but I truly like it. Now, oops, I hate when that happens. Let's see what other colors are in this. There's that green. This is a little bit of brown. You know what? There is a little rosy in there. This one is from Cara's pack. I put a C on the back of it. So I'm going to just put, and see, that's what I didn't want to happen. I'm going to put the pinky color in the center of all of those, so that there is a little bit of a distinction, and you can see I effed up that one. So thing I want to do is I want to get this down. So I'm going to put that corner there. I may end up having to play around. Yep. See, I'm just going to line up as best as I can using the artwork of the cutout. The other thing you can do here is, if there's any places on the back that stick up that you want to add any down, you turn it over. And like, for instance, this whole edge needs to be done. So I'm just going to fill this in and then smush it down. That looks, oh, that edge. I almost want to put something behind it. so if that's going to go there like that, I do have this brown ribbon that technically could go on either side, underneath. But I also think it's probably too dark. I think maybe what I may have to do is look for something like maybe well, this right here was what I used for, I wonder if I make just a small ribbon of fabric to go around the edge, if that would work. I really don't want to have to, but it is falling apart. I'm going to hold that off for a second. So what I want to do here is I have these, because nests are in trees, I have these really funky stamps. I probably got them on Amazon. Now that might work. We'll see. I just pulled that out of my little case here. I have some super thin, and this may actually be what I use, some typing paper that's super thin. I think would work. Maybe put behind that and model it up with some stuff, because that is not going to stay. And I guess I could color it, like I could do this background green color or really light like the yellow color, but I want to be able to see through this, which is why I have these stamps out. I want to, let me get my browns out. Although I bet if I did it in Tattered Rose, it would look really pretty. Tattered Rose is really light, so let's try Tattered Rose first. And you can always go back over and it would look like a shadow. And I used my block earlier today. I just don't know what I did with it. There it is. So I want to put some trees that are going to start down here. And I know these are small trees, but I just think they're really cool looking. I think I'm going to start with this one. And I think I am going to use tea dye. Nope, I said I was going to use Tattered Rose. Okay, had a husband interruption, so had to stop. I did change my stamp. is super. You can barely see it. I love it. There. It's not the same, but that'll work. Oops, actually I wanted to put some behind. I wanted to add some color behind it too, didn't I? I'm just going to use a couple of them. Like, I know that I used this one right there, and I know I just did all of that. I think that if I go ahead and just do a couple with tea dye, it'll sort of look like a, you know, either further behind or... do this with multiple colors, starting with the lightest and then just increasing in the darkness behind or in front of them, or stay with really light colors and just change the hue. And that's not Hugh Darcy or Hugh Laurie or Hugh, it's the color. This one looks like one of those things that you see blown up with the arms that go like this, and flapping the wing, and that's what this one looks like to me. So that's that. And I want something so thin. So I made this paper. I don't think that will work, not with the color behind it. And you're not really able to see it. And this is dark too. I don't think I have any of my light left. Ouch. Yeah, that's not the look I'm looking for. I want either so sheer, you can barely see through it, so you can see all those trees that I did. Old-fashioned typing paper, and this would have been the typing paper that you would have used if you wanted to send a letter overseas, because it's very thin. So what am I going to do? I think you can see a difference here, but if we put, I'm going to take some of my antique linen and spread it on this and just go because it's going to be on top of something. And I am going to take some of my frayed burlap. And I know it's making squares, but it's also, remember, it's going to be behind something. And I'm going to try this one, but I'm going to put it on the corner because I can't remember what color it comes out. Yeah, that's 2, maybe. I know that this is a purple color, and if I want to do it, I want to do it super, super, super light. So let's do it super light like this. And I think there's not really much purple on there, but I think just having that come through with the colors that are already on there. You can almost see the watermark in it. I think it will just add that little bit of a dimension through the sheer paper. This is really dark down here. I want more color on it, so. And what was this one? This was Victorian Velvet. Okay. Let's put it back in the purple. That back over there. This back in the yellowish greenies, the lights. Okay. There's not enough color in those areas. So let's go back to the Victorian. Yes, it's a different thing, but... So this is one of my own inventions. What I've done is I've taken the bottom of a pad that you'd put on a chair, and I put it on an extremely old wooden spool that came from one of my grandmother's houses, and I really like it for swirling and covering a lot of space because it actually, this felt right here I think holds a little more, and I like it. And I usually keep one in each if it's got an empty one. If not, it goes in my trolley or in my other things. Let's see if that's enough that you'll be able to see through. Yeah, I think we can do that. And I'm actually going to rip it off, rip the edges, but I am going to here and just do a thin line all around the outside of the paper that we've already put here and inside. Okay. And there, that's better. I like that. So we're going to squish it down and make sure that it stays and that it's not going to tear. And now we know if I use any of these, again, they have got to be glued down onto sheer paper or sheer fabric. Oh, you know what I could have done? I could have done it on, yeah, I could have done it on some netting, I bet. And you really would have been able to see through it. Well, we may try it again. And I am just double checking that the edges are going to be down. I don't want them to flip up. This is Fabri-Tac glue in this little tiny bottle. I got these bottles off at Amazon, and the one thing you have to do is these will come out. You can actually see one in the bottle. If you do not ahead of time take some super glue, make sure you don't get it in the hole. But what I did is I put super glue to hold this thing in, because if not, and I'm heavy-handed, it went right into the bottle. So yeah, I just took some super glue that I had and put it around the little inside nozzle, and then stuck the pin in and made sure the pin was going to be used. You know, wasn't going to be able to move, let it sit overnight, and then I was able to pull up. I was able to fill it and able to use. So did anybody watch the Emmy Awards? Those were exciting. I was surprised at who won. See, that came up. Okay. I have to watch a lot of the shows that won. I tend to be up in my studio and either have YouTube videos going, or I have or I listen to books on tape. Or I'm taping myself, which you can't have any background on unless you know that, you know, you're not going to get in trouble for playing music or something in the background. Now, my husband is in a band, and I'm going to see if maybe they'll do some acoustic, some lighter stuff, because it is punk rock. And maybe I can get some of their stuff in the background for, like, when I'm fast forwarding. Or, you know, I know it has to be okay, so that got rid of that problem. And I'm going to cut the ends off here, or the tips. And this paper is super soft and easily ripped. So if you're looking for a scissor, you can either a ripping, tearing stick. I would suggest the Fiskars because they're really heavy duty. I got a cheap pair the other day and I bent it as soon as I tried to use it because I can't find. This comes, I think, in a set of 3, and I can only find one of mine. So who knows where the other ones are? That happens. It's possible, too, that I found that at a thrift store and did not... and did not get all of them. Okay, so on Julie's, she has that little tiny piece of this plaid, and I cut them into corner things, so if you wanted to, you could say just put those there. But I think I'm going to use them when I find what sticker or plate I'm going to put here. I have this as a plate, so I could stamp that onto, ooh, you know what I could stamp that on and it would look really cool? I could stamp that onto one of these, because it's already got some color on it. Yeah. And, ooh, these are super stuck on here. Let's see. It might be a little big. That'll work. And I'm going to do this in Rusty Hinge. So I'm taking this to it and I'm just going to pop some Rusty Hinge on. Now, if you notice, I didn't go all the way around it. And I think I'm going to go to Vintage Photo and try to figure out where I didn't pop the Rusty Hinge. And put that around. And then let's stamp on this to make a tag. Oh. There, that at least got in on. And because I started using it, now I've got to use it all the way through, maybe. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pick this off. I do like doing this little picky thing, especially on this really sheer paper. So, okay. And I will not save these little tiny ones. They'll get swept or eaten up by my dustbuster as soon as I end this. I do have a dustbuster that sometimes I try to use on my desk. Because unfortunately with dogs, if you drop stuff on the floor, it ends up in their mouths. I'm just going to put these on the four corners. And I must have gone 29 minutes because it overlapped. A lot of this I think I'm going to fast forward through anyway and just pick out places that I want you to hear. So I am going to put this here. We're covering up, let's see, Professor F.H. King, formerly of the Wisconsin Experiment Station. And this is still about horses. And you say, but do you really want that like that? Do you want it to be able to stick up? Yes, I want it to stick up. I want you to go through and be like, oh, cool. Oh, look. It's sticking out. There we go. So there we go. There's a nice little, let's zoom in, page. It may get some more stuff, but this was my first page for day one. I think I'm going to make a pocket out of these. Okay. So we will be covering up most of that. You can see I have a little white edge here, but when I make my pockets, I really do, I like to fold over the bottom, make a good crease. Okay. And then I am going to, wow, that's not straight at all. And of course I could have done it on a board, but, and I do like to make the corners so it's nice and sturdy. Okay. Now, what am I going to do with this edge? Nope, don't like it. Something needs to stick up here. So it could be some lace, which I have plenty of. Oh, I know what I can do. Watch this. Once again, I'm going to grab this. And I am going to make a lacy edge, sort of, with some mushrooms. I got these last year around Thanksgiving time. Let's see if I can get them back on where they belong this time instead of all scattered. So if I'm looking at colors, I see a little bit of a blue, I see a purple here. Of course, I see orange and red. So how about, what did we use? We used the Victorian velvet. So let's see what Victorian velvet looks like. And this is one of my favorite mushrooms. And I think it would look cool sticking out from above a pocket. So let's see what this looks like. And it should match the purple in that moth. Yep. Okay. And let's put that away. And let's use some, remember we used tattered rose, but I'm going to put tattered rose over on this side. And what I may do actually is I may cut each one of these out and layer them that way. That might look cool. rip them out. Oh, you really can't see that one, can you? What was one up from that one? I think it was one up from that one is tea dye. So let's see if we can get some more color if we use tea dye. And yes, I'm going right over where it was before because it was too light, and that light color will show as like a highlight or a low light behind it. See, much better. Much, much better. So if we put those as like a fringe around the top, I think that will work. Here's another one. Let's put that one where it goes. Let's do some chanterelles. I think those are chanterelles. I like this one though. Let's do that one in Rusty Hinge. Damn it. Because I love me some Rusty Hinge. I love Rusty Hinge. So once again, this is that antique typing paper that you would send overseas. I can tell you that this stuff is so old that we had it at my house growing up, which means that it probably came from the good old Air Force. My dad brought it home with him, and to work on something at home. So it just stayed. Okay. This one is frayed burlap. Let's see what this one looks like if we get it on there. That one's not so bad. I like how light it is actually a lot. And they'll be able to be cut out. So I'm going to stop you here because these need to be cut out. And I will start you back up when I'm getting ready to put it together. Okay, I've got all of the mushrooms cut out, and we know that this, let's look at what's written there. So I'm going to actually corner this so that we can see some of the and I'm going to put this above. We know that the line do with the animal world. Can you, well, you can't see it, but Billy Goat just crawled up. What do you want, sweetie? Was I not paying attention to you? Okay. She, I don't think, is feeling very good, and she wants to be like as close as possible to me. So I am wearing my cozy sack, I guess. And so that's what she wants to be in. Problem with that is that if you could see me, I would be showing you more than I expected because she pulls down my shirt. I would love to come up with a shirt. I have a sweatshirt that you can keep your animal in. But I would actually love to come up with like a shirt that, or a bra that you could just attach say something to and be able to carry your animal or baby in. I don't know. I've tried several different things and nothing ever works out. So these are going, so when you put this here, it'll look without anything in it, like they're poking up from inside of the and I like that you're going to be able to see some of the writing through it. I thought I was going to be gessoing like every single page on this, but I really don't think I'm going to. We'll see what happens because I'm like doing each page differently. And then I'm going to end up having to put it all together. And you do want to make sure these are stuck down because if you have to have something going in and out of it, you don't want it to curl it up. Let's see if I can get that one sticking up straight. And this little one I'm going to put right here. The other thing too is that I can always add more to it or come back. Okay, so that looks like some of that is sticking up. I don't know whether I want to put that there. I wonder if I did that in like black or darker ink. It's too small. I was going to try to rip it. Okay, now I could just do that. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this, which is a nice little frame, getting all ooky, probably from stuff on my hands, but that's okay. I am going to take Rusty Hinge, which, if you can see, is that color. And I think it's just going to give enough of a difference, even though that's an orange. And why don't I put some corduroy? And this is literally just touching it to get some of the darker tone in. Oh, fudge muffins. And I know why that happened. It's because I probably need to wash it. Okay, let's just hope and pray. Oh, that's good. I like that. It's very, I don't know. Ooh, you know what we could put behind it? Another set of mushrooms, but in a different color. I want it bigger. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to do it in Gathered Twig. Why? Because I just decided I was going to pull it out. It's not quite brown. It's got a little bit of black in it. It will work really well. I'm going to put this so it's hanging over the edge of the frame that I put down. So it's like, which came first? And then I'm going to put that there. Actually, the frame should be darker. And yes, I don't mind going back over. I probably need to wet this. So it sticks. Okay, so I am actually going to I'm going to use the hickory smoke. Just because that's a third color, I don't want to darken it with any of the ones I already have, and thank goodness that this is a one that I can see where I'm putting it. Now remember, I don't mind doubling up because it will show, if the other colors come through, as long as it's lighter, it will show as a shadow behind it. So there we go. I don't mind that at all. Now, I want to make sure that that still looks like the frame is in front of the mushrooms. So I'm just going to take my gray marker or my gray scribble stuff rollerball pen, and I'm just going to darken those lines. You don't want to, you just want to make sure that the people can make out the edge. And you don't want to do something like that. And especially through the mushrooms so that they look like they are in the background. There we go. The other thing you can do to make them look like they're in the background, you can see where the light color was is that we did it, but I think what I'm going to do is okay, this is an orange watercolor, twist watercolor. Billy Goat, you have to go over here so that Mommy can work. Sorry, girlfriend. I am going to reach over and grab a smaller brush. I do keep a jar of water on my desk for my brushes, but I very rarely leave it open, and it's got a really tight cover to it. So I'm gonna take some of the watercolor from this. I'm going to get a little more water on my brush. And then on the inside of this, so it will look like it's a different background, but it's still, you can still see that pattern. And if anybody's waiting on their Tim Holtz, you're going to be able to do this with Tim Holtz also. So I'm not hitting anything but the outside side of that mushroom and the inside of what would be a tag. And then now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little more water on my brush, because that's obviously popping that out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little, yes, I did that on my, hey, Sherman, I'm going to just put a little of this orange here, and I did get some more water so that it sort of shows underneath it, so that there's a little bit of a shadow underneath the ones that jut out. Okay, let's screw that back in, stick that back up, put that in there. Okay, let's put the hickory smoke back. I'm going to actually see if I can get any of this off, because I did cut it. It's just so, oh, I know what I can do. So if you guys don't do this yet, this is thinning shears for your hair. And if you use it, it makes it look like stamp. And I do that little jerk motion so that you can get more of the fun fuzzies around it. Now, I think that I'm going to take some of this rusty hinge, and I'm just going to swipe this along those fringes there. I know this is going to look weird. And then I'm actually going to take that brush that I just used. Whoops. I better put my cover on that. That was not the water jar coming down. That was actually something else. So obviously these inks are water soluble. So what I'm doing is I'm just brushing it along here. It's still got some of the orange in it. And it's just taking that color just a little bit more towards it. And you could also say, go like this and just put a little bit of rusty hinge on the end, which you can't see it, but when you put it on here, you can. Until I get my Tim Holtz markers. This is actually one of the ways that not markers, watercolor things. Sometimes that's the way I do it. If I just need a tiny bit of color, I'll get a brush and I will actually go right straight to my ink pad. Okay, so I think that's blending in just a little bit too much. Let's see what it looks like on the screen. Yeah. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go to the yellows. And you see this fossilized amber. I think I'm just going to go like this, which just added some color. You can still see the mushrooms, but I think it gives that yellow just a little bit more of a pop. And I am going to put that down in the corner there. I'm not going to tell you what they look like, but I think if you all look at it, you'll know. Okay. One thing I do like is that if your inks are still wet, you can put some of the Fabri-Tac on it and you can still stick it down even though your ink is wet. Okay. There's that. That back. Now remember, we were going to put this on here. I really want it on because of that purple color. And I think it will look good there. But I am actually going to round these corners. And I am going to take and do, which I would say is between these two. I'm going to line up that so that it makes a little divot in there. You'll be able to see the mushrooms a little better. And I'm going to stick that on, and then maybe, I don't know if I want that on. I think it will look good. I think it will bring that out, but I think I want it to sit up a little bit, so I may actually put it on some cardboard. So let's put this here, and you gotta put that there and get that corner down. You do not want to do the inside corner. You just want to do these little 3 things, and you could take them out if you wanted to, because you want to be your paper to be able to slide down all the way inside there. I am going to take and cut this diagonally there, and then I put it on the inside because it's going to smush out. Or when I put it on, I'm going to make it smush out towards the center, out towards the outsides, and not towards the center. And that way that gives you a little bit more room. So I push out and down. And I am just going to slide that down just a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to put that on there now, but it definitely brings out that purple that I put in there. And I also think that, where is my red cap for that? I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take my Victorian Velvet, and I think I'm going to just pick up some of that Victorian Velvet off of here. Let's see. There we go. And I think I'm just going to drag it down underneath there, underneath the caps. So there's that, just that little tiny bit of color. See, that's under a cap. That's under a cap. That's under a cap. That's under a cap. And I think that brings a little bit of that purple out. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and do it under here. It slides much better on that paper. And then you can actually, like, I just rubbed that in. Depending on what you use, brush you use, will get a different tone. So yeah, I like that. I think that did something there. I'm going to take my pumice stone and I'm going to get a small round and dip it in my water jug, and I'm going to put some pumice stone on it, and I'm just going to do the corners where you see shadow on these. Just so you're like, whoa, there's a little dimension there. It's not just a stamp. I'm going to do that here too. Down the sides where there would be a shadow. Shadow, shadow, shadow. Okay. That's the cover to my water jug. So there's shadow here. So what I'm going to do is they basically tell you where you can put the shadow, which is cool. And because I use different inks on all of these, even if I use the same for the shadow, you're not going to know that there's much of a difference. And I'm just going to put some lines in here so it looks like what's coming forward. And I'm going to use this here for that. I gotta go downstairs and make rice for dinner. So this is going to be my last portion, last of this. And I am smoothing it out with a little bit of water. There's some rough edges, and that will just bind it all together too. And it's damp, it's not wet. This yellow that's here, what color was it? I think it was fossilized amber. I'm going to take some of that and actually put it up. Oops, I just put some water. Just a little bit on there and bring it up into here. So it looks like you're getting all the colors. I'm also going to put it in here, down here, down the side, down the side underneath, so that you're seeing more colors. I'm going to put some on the outside of this one, of these, so it almost looks like the sunshine's hitting it. Let's wait to put that on. And I'm going to shut down now. Okay, we're back with some more. I want to show you some things that I've done since, something that I've done since is that over at my neighbor's, she told me she had a pretty blue feather from her duck. So I went over and got that, and I literally just stuck it in, and I thought that looked really good. And the blue that's in it, I added with some nail polish on the piece of hanky or kerchief here. I put the bottom half of this page over here, so that actually looks sort of like a feather. And what actually I did is I just ripped this part. It was part of this page. I just ripped it and then tucked it in, and of course I had to cover the hole that I had put there, but I made it sort of like a belly band. This was on Cara's, and I added some bling bling to it with some nail polish and some, let's see, what is it? Glitter glue. The other thing I've done, and I don't know whether I had done it or not, is I had put in this page. I made a little tag to fit in this page from the owl from Cara's. I used some of the paper that I had made that is napkin with pieces of thread just set on it when I put the glue on, and it just sort of put some extra color in there. This is a tag that I got from just a bunch of tags like this in a package, in a Happy Mail package. And then on the back I've just done this, and you can actually see the pretty threads even coming out. This is from a the 12 by 12 piece of paper. And this is just a piece of that thin typing paper that I had. So that just tucks right in there. I have not done anything with this page yet. I'm going to have to hold my hand here to show you. I glued that down. You saw me do this. What I did to put in it is a little card that's on a really hard cardstock tag. I punched 2 holes and fed this kerchief through it, the 2 holes, had it come out, and then tied a piece of vintage upholstery thread around it so that it gives me that. I made a little thing here and found a little phrase that says, "Please remind me." I think this still needs something. A lot of times what I do is at the very end of when everything's in here, I'll go through and add little things. So don't be surprised. Like this obviously is going to need something. But I sort of like just having a plain page there too. We have these pages to still do, and we have this one right here that we did online on the last thing. So what I'm doing now is I've taken a very large tea bag. My husband makes tea every single day, so I have a plethora of bags, and I folded it in half. And this is going to make, oh, the other thing I got over there was another feather that looked a lot like the feather that was on here. So I did add some ink to it to get that pinky orangey color. And I did put a little bit more in here just to try to make them match a little better. I mean, this is a duck feather, not an owl feather. But, you know, it's just adding that little bit. The other thing I may do, because you're not going to see the back of this, and I don't know how I would do it, is to make the feather look fuller on this side. I may pull these feathers over here. I don't know. It does make it look fuller, so because this is pretty see-through paper, I'm afraid that it's going to go through. This is from Cara's. You can see my little C on the back. And actually, I'm only going to do this side, mostly to hold this. But you never know when you might want to tack something underneath. That's the other thing I do at the very end, is I go through and make sure that things that need to be tacked down are fully tacked down, if they're meant to be. But sometimes I like to leave my options open. Nothing's finished technically until it goes out of my hands. So, see, it did go through a little bit, but also, yay, most of those feathers stayed over. Now, because this is going to be like a little booklet, it's very fragile. So I am going to I'm going to actually take this page that I whitewashed, and I'm going to fit it in here. But the other thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to need to do some inking on it. This is the antique linen. Some more color through my distinct method of smush straight to the paper from the pad. And I do always go from lightest to darkest whenever I do this. Which is, oh, see, made a square there. So this one is a little darker, so I'm just literally taking small swipes so that it looks like it's a little distressed and it's not 100% white. You can still read what's underneath it. Because there is an owl on the front, oops, we don't want that there. I'm actually going to postage, bike, fabric screening. Ooh, this might look cool. So these are fabric screening. I really like these. It makes it, and you can see I've used some pretty bright colors on there. It makes it so it gives a little bit of interest over on the side, but you're not quite sure whether it's fabric or the screening or it's just something different to add to an edge. This is one of my favorite stamps. And I really like that, but you know me. Double dies, double dies, double dies. Let's use tea dye, although I think that I need to re-ink my tea dye. And there are some bits of gooey that's coming off onto this, and I don't mind that. I don't mind if there's a little extra something. And I'm actually going to turn this the opposite direction because I don't necessarily want it to match up on this one. I just want you to be like, hey. And you can see it sort of matches up, but it gives it some depth. And then I am going to find my owls. Owls. I have a cutesy owl. I have a I don't know if I want to go with, well, we do have a feather, so why not put a and it actually looks like him. Look at that. So why don't we put a skeleton on it? And it's a nice thing here. So let's, I'm going to actually do some brushed corduroy down here at the bottom. And I don't want it to be 100% covered because I want it to be sort of like a ghost on the page. And that's the rusted, and I think I'm going to do some of the vintage photo. Now I could have mixed this and picked it up off the my glass mat, but I don't really need to do that. And I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to squishy. Let's see how our little skeleton owl comes out. And because it's on the inside of something, it'll be a little bit of a surprise that it's a skeleton. Oh, that's perfect. I love it! And I'm actually going to take one of my pages here, the table of contents, and I'm going to do a second, let's see if I can line it back up and see if I can get that big splotch off. I'll get it to redistribute. There we go. I'm going to actually double print, do the second printing on. There we go. That's going to be my second printing page. Okay, we can put him back in the thing. Now, I'm not too happy that the round eye on the right-hand side didn't come out. So I'm actually going to keep this out, and I'm going to take my vintage photo, and I'm going to take my little mini brush here. I'm just going to wet it a tiny bit just to be able to pick up some ink. And I'm going to fill in where I feel like it needs some more. because this was the darkest on here. You don't get to really see much of the vertebrae on that, which is okay, but he definitely needed his eyeball back, and I am going to put that on that ear. Let's do his beak. And that just adds. Now, if I had had the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils in, I would have been able to use those. So there we go. Mr. Owl is now on the page. And I am going to put him overlay in hickory smoke because it's almost black. And see if I can get a better distinction on him. And like I've said before, I do not mind overlaying at all because I feel that it gives you shades and depth. I mean, small, tiny things are hard to overlay, but something like this, as long as you started light and went dark, they overlay really well, except for that. But let's look at what the second one does here, because I can always cut out the second one and put it over it. Oh, look, I like that one much better than what's actually there. So I'm going to rip this. I think I need to get a regular owl stamp though too. I think that needs to be put on my list. There. I fixed it! Yay! Okay. That's why I like having another second print page, just in case something like this happens. The thing I was thinking is maybe going and getting some vintage lace and adding it to this back side here so that it comes out through. So let's see. That might be too gaudy. I don't know. Sort of looks pretty sticking out of there, but it's... No. It goes that way. Oh, it's a possibility. This is a vintage wrist. And I would probably... It looks pretty, but I hate to cut it. This is a vintage wrist too. This one might actually work. Especially if I just used that edge. Let's see what else I have. That would add some color to it. Behind the... Let's see what this one will do. I can always make it darker with some ink. Oops, there went one of my things. But I think, yeah, it will need to be inked. But I'm going to glue it on first. And then I'll ink it. Because one side may need to be inked, but not the other. Okay. I believe I got this in an exchange. It will also hold up the mutes it, so I won't have to do anything. Whoops, where's my other piece? There it is. I know that one's sticking out a little more, but once it closes it will look better. Is I'm gonna add some glue to this so it will stick to the, any of the little pieces will be saved and stuck to the lace. Now this edge of lacing may need yeah, because I really don't trust some of this. Ooh, look. See, this should be flipped up. This one is about ready to fall off, and I don't want it to. Stick it to the lace. Instead of sticking it to the man, I'm sticking it to the lace. There. I really, really, really like that. And you can see that the lace comes out over the edge on that one. And actually, the lace edge is what I may use to put it into the book also. So let's muck up this lace a little bit. Billy Goat, you're not helping. And I'm just going to take the frayed burlap, because I like that for just adding a darkness to a bright color. It tends to satiate it. There we go. I think I would say that this card is done. Let's find a place for it in the book. Billy Goat, you're going to fall again. Let's see. And I have these marking where all the D1 stuff was. This one I'm actually going to tuck behind here. And I'm thinking that I might do it as a tip-in and put the lace right against here. I am going to do it with a bigger thing so that it sticks. Knowing, I mean, I know you're supposed to be able to use a little bit, but I want to make sure that it stays. Okay, there's our owl. It will stick out a little bit, and that's not very pretty on that end to do it. So maybe I might put something on that edge, maybe some more of the lace. I don't know. We'll leave that up because that's another thing that could be come back to it. And remember also, I did not really glue this down very much, so technically putting another piece of lace behind that really wouldn't do anything but make it look prettier. So I may use the lace in another place. I may use a different lace there. Who knows? But there's a tip-in. You could add another sheet to the back here. Could also whitewash this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I may just leave it. I may put a piece of thin, super thin paper over it. But there's a tip-in for that. So, while that page dries for a little bit, I got out some of my washi tape. I love these dispensers. They had really ugly washi tape in them. So what I did is I took them out and put them with stuff that I like. So I think I'm going to take this one right here because it's sort of florally. Yeah. And I know I just tested it to the bottom, but this is actually what I'm going to do. And there is a washi tape sticker tag. Now to keep it going, because you should use it in 2 places, or that's how I feel. Was this it? Nope, this is it over here. I'm going to take some and put it on the bottom here, on the back. And then I am going to actually take the ABC one here, and I believe these are all Tim Holtz. And I'm going to pull it from this bottom corner and just start piling them on. I think that looks pretty good. And actually, if this looks too messy for you, you can always cut it off. So what I've done to this is I've done a triple stamp in 3 different colors to make a little frame around this roe deer's face. I grungied it up. I made a flyer with a flying tag. I'm calling it a flyer because it looks like one of those things you use to spin with your hands to make it fly. And I used some washi tape at the bottom just to add some interest on the back. And I'm not saying it's done, but it's done for now. Okay, I'm making these little bundles. What I've done is I have put a piece of the brown thread through, and then I glued on the yellow thread, and then I'm layering on all the little pieces of the edging of the T and any other tiny scraps that I have. And then I tie it with my Dr. Pimple Popper tie at the end. I've already made it. You can see here. And put it on the feather. So that's what it will end up looking like. Whoops, wrong way. I did that one first because I know that my hands don't necessarily always do small stuff like this. In fact, it annoys the crap out of me to do small things with my hands. But I really wanted to make something to look like a bird's nest for this page. So I figured I would at least try it once without you guys seeing me do it, because it is so small. I didn't want you to not be able to see what I was doing. So now my Dr. Pimple Popper knot, which means you only really have to do one as long as you've put glue on it, is over once, over twice, and that's how she does her stitch ends. And then pull. And if any are not in the bundle, this is when they would come out, obviously. This one had a lot that came out. This one, I think I did it enough that it's not going to. And I think I'm going to put this just down here in this corner. I was going to try to stick them all underneath that tag. And then, no. Nope, wasn't happening. My hands were not going to let me do that. I am also scanning in some things right now. That will be part of the last and final things I need to do for day 1. So I thought you would enjoy seeing this little doodad thing. Now I could put something on top of there, maybe a little rhinestone, or I could just leave it basic. This is looking like a very sort of a basic journal anyway, so I don't know. That's one of those things that I like to go back through towards the end and add if it needs it. So I'm back and I realized I hadn't used this sheet of music yet. So I did add it to this page and added some ribbon around it. I pulled these from my stamps, which is from a Julie kit. And I'm going to stamp one of those wacky trees on it. I'm going to use Rusty Hinge, one of my faves. Okay, that's good because it actually looks like a sky. And then I'm actually going to do I've got this other stamp right here, and I'm going to do the stamp that's the stump stamp, and put it on it diagonally. And I actually think I'm going to go up to Gathered Twig on it because it's already sort of dark. And okay. You know what? I think I'm going to do Gathered Twig in that one back there. And you know, I don't mind over stamping because it will just make it look like shadow. Line it up as best I can. There, look at that. That looks good. I like that. These definitely come out better with the darker stamps. If you have this set of weird trees. I like them for Halloween, but they can be used all year long. So I am just going to stick that there. I am finding that some of the stuff that I've glued to the older paper is not sticking as well, and I've had to go back and re-stick things. I don't see a problem with that. However, it is possible that something may be done in later. I'm not sure though. I was thinking of putting another one of these around that. Let's see what it would look like. I think it'd be too much because it's already on the other page. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that, and like you know, you may come back for one of the other days and find that I've done something. The other one I had not done something for either was the sunflower, which I put on a piece of that paper that I made with the thread through it. This is a copy of a picture that was in the front of this book, and it's draft horses. I've left it open to either tuck or to be able to use it, or to be able to put something behind it to make it look better. And I just put, so you could see the thread in this, I just put a sheer piece of paper in there. Let's see what else I have done. And I may end up taking that down too. I think I did one other thing well. Yes. This I've glued in. All I need to do is I need to put some ink on it. So this was one of the pieces. The other thing that I've done is I did add these two horses on the horse page. I'm hoping that later I'll be able to find something to go in this corner. So neither of those are from the day one, but it's on to the very last page of day one. And I do have, we could actually put this deer in there and get it out of the way of the other. There we go. So here is all of the pieces from day one that I've used. Let's start from the beginning of my book. Nothing yet on the cover from day one. This was from the original book. This was from day one. The owl. Everything else is stuff that I've found or have in my own stash. Nothing yet on that page. This back here was the other half of the page, the very next page. I did leave edges open. I may end up doodle or doing something. This was also from there. This was the other half of this for day one. And I put the mushrooms behind it. This right here was day one. And I used some of my own stash to put things on it. This is day one that just needs some inking, but I want to get this video done. And at the very end of the whole thing, I will work through the whole book and show you what things are and what days they're from. That's why I have these little flyers up here. And it will probably be closer in. I put this on the back with a little cutesy owl, and it says Vivid. I made this flip so you could write it. The deer on the tag with the washi tape flags. The two horses from this. And then this is my pop-up page of the nests. So that's all of day one. So I just want to thank everybody. This was Dawn Marie from Creative DME Designs. And please join me and all of my fellow fawns in doing this Dear Julie Julie and Cara Brandon fall collab. Bye, thanks. Have a great day.